Hey guys, there we go. Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I am 100% completely and totally freaking live right now. And this is going to be this week's This Week in Comics. And yeah, not a lot of comics coming out, are there? That's the strangest freaking thing. Um, yeah, there's pretty much nothing coming out this week for the most part. Check this out. I started making a video for This Week in Comics. Then I redid it completely. Like I scrapped it right there and I went back, did a little bit more stuff, and I redid an entire video. All the comic books that were getting ready to come out from just a little while ago. Suddenly, suddenly, what do you call it? I start seeing some stuff online and people go and they point out, hey, there are no more comics coming out. I'm like, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And yet it kind of did. Check this out. Earlier this morning, I went and I grabbed all sorts of images from Comixology in order to do what I got to do and put together this video, much like I did last week. This was maybe a half an hour ago, less than a half an hour ago, whatever. Somebody mentions something on my Facebook group, Comic Book University Facebook group. So, about Black Monday murder specifically. I don't remember who it was, but hey, shout out Jane, I think it was. I forget. I'm sorry. But anyway, goes and mentions this. So I was like, oh, well, hey. So I put the link to my Black Monday Murders Spotlight on Story. Pretty good video, if I do say so myself. Anyhow, so she goes and mentions that there's a couple other issues out that aren't actually out, but maybe they're out. So I went to Comixology to see if I can find them there really quick. It's my go-to to see what's out. And they weren't, not only could I not find them, but I couldn't find a lot of the other stuff that was on there also. We had several pages worth of comics that were coming out this week, and all of a sudden, dropped down to very little. I started doing a little research into why the hell this is, because Empire issue number 0 for Avengers and the other one for Fantastic Four were supposed to come out. Suddenly, they're not in existence anymore. Wait a second. What? What's going on here? I started looking at all the comic books that were getting ready to come out. Kelly Thompson had 3 comic books coming out this week, tomorrow specifically. Now only one, the Archie comic, Sabrina Year 2 or whatever the heck that one is called. I don't actually remember what it's called. But anyway, there's Sabrina number 2, the Teenage Witch. What the heck is that thing called, for crying out loud? Should be like right over here. Sorry, it's going to be all over my head until I actually get it out. There we go. Something Wicked. Okay, cool. Nice play on Something Wicked This Way Comes. Anyway, so okay, Deadpool's not going to be coming out. Like nothing's going to be coming out this week. So then I go and I look and I start seeing articles out that Marvel's not going to be pushing anything out. Wait a second. What now? Now suddenly, DC goes and does the same thing. They pull all of their comics. And I'm saying, what in the holy hell is going on here? I don't know if the other comic book companies are going to be doing the same thing, but literally everybody is getting screwed. Here's the funny thing. Diamond Distributors is also getting screwed. Also on the Facebook page, somebody goes and he posts, hey, Diamond, what is that that article? This is off of Newsarama. Diamond warns of cash flow problems, halts payments to vendors. Now, this is a very interesting article. It's, in my opinion, fairly poorly written, but whatever. I'm going to see if I can't make some sense out of it for you guys. Basically, Diamond Distributors is the monopoly, the only global company that sends comic books everywhere. So they deal with Marvel, they deal with DC, they deal with Image, they deal with Dynamite, they deal with freaking everybody. Action Lab Comics, yes, Zombie Tramp is apparently still coming out this week, tomorrow, but whatever. So they deal with all these individual companies. They gather all the comics in one place and they start distributing to all the individual comic book stores, the bookstores, every little area that says, hey, I want comics. you have to go through Diamond in order to get them. Very few exceptions, but all in all, it goes through Diamond. If Diamond shuts down, there are no more comic books going out. Guess what? Diamond shut down last week. I just talked about it in my podcast with Chillmonger recently. What the funk? You actually stopped the comic books? I think it's a good idea. Stop the physical copies because, we're not, there it is, we're not COVIDiots. You like that? You like that? I saw it trending on Twitter, and it sounds a lot like um, outside of Toronto, people call people from Toronto citiots, right? Instead of idiots, citiots. I'm just saying that's kind of cool. I like that. In the meantime, so we've got all sorts of freaking craziness going on, dude. And this came so all of a sudden now I'm looking online and Marvel's not releasing any new comic books this week or in the coming weeks digitally. That may change. They may decide to change a couple things. Okay, cool. But this stuff is all happening way too fast. I see a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to get to those comments. All right. There's a live chat. You know me. You know me. So while before I was like, I need to cut down my comic book intake, I didn't mean like this. Damn. So what are all those comics that you guys keep on telling me I need to go back and read? Because I think I'm gonna have time to go back and read them now. Wow. There are no new comics coming out from Marvel or DC. Like DC immediately followed suit. And I think that a lot of it is potentially a good reason for it. So check this out. Um, this kind of goes back to the whole Diamond shutting everything down, because recently they also decided that they're not going to pay their vendors. Now this is kind of a big deal. Check this out. When Diamond sends to people, to the individual customer, they call in the article, they call them customers. Okay, that means your local comic book stores, all of your LCSs. Diamond sells all of the comics to the local, what do you call it, to the vendors, okay, to all the local comic book stores. The comic book stores have to pay for all the stuff that they get, and then they take that money at Diamond, they take all that money, and that's how they pay their vendors. Now, the vendors are Marvel and DC and Image, and not only that, but all of the companies that sell like statues, XM Studios, and all those things. You know what I'm saying? All those statues, the toys, all the little things, the freaking Pez dispensers that come out. All these places, these are the vendors. So when Diamond Distributors says vendors, they mean all those companies like Marvel, DC, and the comic book companies and the statue companies, the toy companies. All right, that includes Hasbro for Marvel Legends and the DC stuff, right? And the Transformers stuff. So they decided this week, since we don't have any money, we're not going to pay our vendors, DC, Marvel, and so on. So, hey, yeah. Listen, this could go multiple ways. I'm going to look at it this way. Marvel and possibly DC, since they're owned by parent companies, Warner Brothers for DC and Disney for Marvel, they might say, you're not going to pay us for this week's stuff? All the stuff that we sent you last week, you're not going to pay us for that? Cool. That's cool. We'll remember this, but we're also okay. Because once we start selling the comic books to you guys again, or, whatever, you will start paying us for the backlog and for what's going on now. That's exactly what's going to wind up happening. The other companies like Image, and Image could probably take this, hit a lot better than any of the other comic book companies out there. All of these guys are getting hit hard. This is basically like, how a company will tell you, hey, man, so you want to work for us? That's cool. We're going to pay you 2 weeks late. So you'll work for us for 2 weeks before you get your paycheck for that first week that you did. You'll always be a paycheck late. So this way, when you leave the company, you're going to get your paycheck for all the stuff that you did, a week after or 2 weeks after you leave. Mind you, they always want 2 weeks notice if you're going to leave. Are you going to give me 2 weeks notice before you fire me? I'm very anti-big business. Anyway, so there's all the cute little things to do. Now imagine that you decided you either left the company or more likely you're fired. Basically, that's what happens here. You're fired. Okay. we're not going to be selling your book. We're not going to be distributing your books anymore. So stop sending us books, and the books that we have, we'll hold them, whatever. But we're not going to be paying you for these things because our customers, these local comic book stores, they can't pay us. That's cool. Listen, the way that this article was written, and I don't know how much I trust Newsarama or any of these, so-called big companies like that, but I will say this. It was worded in a way where they say, we're not going to pay you. We appreciate your understanding in this situation, meaning they made the decision to not pay you. To me, this comes off as Diamond, or basically your company who you work for, saying, hey, listen, you're fired. And then you're like, okay, well, that sucks. Like, your paycheck will be in the mail, or you can come pick it up, whatever. We'll make the direct deposit after that 2 weeks. You're waiting for that money. Hey, this is the last money I got before I can finally go on unemployment. But it turns out they call you up the day before and they say, yeah, so listen, our company's actually going to go on pause. So we're not going to pay you for the work that you did for us, that 2 weeks. Sorry, what now? They have literally made the decision that they're not going to pay these people. Now, if you're living at home, and mom and dad have a room for you, it's like, oh, it's cool, and I already got another job, I'm good. That's not going to hurt you quite so bad now, is it? But if you're struggling and you're living paycheck to paycheck on this gig economy, well, then this is going to hurt you really bad. So all these other comic book companies that are not Marvel and DC, and possibly even Image, because mind you, Image is number 3. But the distance between number 3 and number 2, like the distance between number 1 and number 2 is like this. The distance between number 2 and number 3 is like, it's probably not going to fit on my screen. I could back up if you need. Like, it's a huge distance. So they're going to be hit pretty hard at Image, and everybody else is going to be hit. This could actually potentially put them out of business. Yeah, there could actually be some comic book companies going out of business now that you're not going to pay me for what I already sent. That's kind of messed up because this stuff has to be printed way in advance, right? Marvel and DC won't be hit hard. Here's the thing. Marvel and Marvel through Disney may be considering finding other methods to ship comic books to people other than through these vendors, or the vendor Diamond. They may decide to try and find others because every so often I do decide that it's worth it. I'm going to go outside. We need milk. You know what I'm saying? We need bread, little things like that. I stopped making my own bread last year, and I'm starting to realize I probably shouldn't have stopped doing that. Should I have? Anyway, I still go out once in a while. I risk it. I put on the freaking mask and I go out there with my guns blazing, looking for zombies, man. And every so often I find one anyway. So I go out there and I find oh crap, I got so silly with my freaking joke. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh no, anyways, I see magazines still on shelves. These aren't old magazines. I'm waiting in long lines. We got to keep social distancing. And I look and I'm like, hey, all these stupid magazines and some of the good magazines are still out there. My Psychology Today, which I subscribe to digitally, sorry. And the Inquirer, the Global News, and all these nonsense companies, they're still out there. Hey, maybe Marvel can consider using some of those. That's how they actually used to get their product out there, when it was going to stores, like grocery stores and the like the, grocery stores that I went to. So, hey, go figure, they could actually get out there also. And they could try and get to distributors also. This is something I did talk about on my podcast with Chillmonger recently, that, hey, they could say, we're going to send this out to the distribution plants. The distribution plants are not going to, they're only going to go to the big supermarkets and things like that. Maybe we can get them to go to the comic book stores. If not, comic book stores can simply go to pick them up. That's actually the way that it works here in Canada. They go to a distribution mart, and you as a comic book store owner are expected to get your own van or whatever, go and pick up your product and bring it back to your comic book store and do that. In America, the way that it's been years ago, it's been a while since I've lived in the States. It's been about 6 years, 7 years, 8, geez. 2011 is the last time I lived. So we're talking about 9 years ago that I used to live in the United States, back in Jersey. And I know that they would always have the stuff shipped to them. Nowadays, maybe it's different. I don't know. But in Florida, or excuse me, here in um, blah 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 here in Canada, you have to go and pick up your stuff. Also, I see people mentioning the podcast. Yes, please check out the podcast. Hey, guess what just happened today? I actually got approved. Chillmonger and I got approved on Apple Podcasts. That's right. That's the big boys. Like we all of a sudden just got in there, and it's like, we're now on iTunes. So that's a really big deal, guys. Please subscribe. Please go and look for Comic Book University on iTunes or whatever your particular Android device is, and subscribe to the Comic Book University podcast. That's the only place where I do what I'm actually doing right now, which is updated comic book news. I don't usually do that here on YouTube. I only do that on my podcasts with Chillmonger. So please consider checking them out. I've only got 9 episodes up. You know what I'm saying? But every week, every Sunday, we put out a brand new one every Sunday morning. So I'm saying there's a little content there for you. And like I said, I'm super happy, super excited that I just got on iTunes. Anyway, that being said, Marvel can consider shipping to other places or consider doing their own. I also got an update recently from somebody in the comments section that, hey, guess what? The Marvel used to do that, and it apparently almost put them out of business. That was before, and they did mention properly that this happened before they actually did their own thing. You know what I'm saying? Before Disney wound up buying them out. So they absolutely could do it again. And if they did, then, well, I actually talk about this with Chillmonger on our podcast. So I'll literally just leave it there instead of repeating all that information again. But this is a big deal, them deciding not to do this. Could this be the thing that breaks the monopoly of diamond distributors? It could. The problem is, what's it going to do in its place? And are they going to be able to find some new gig? You know what I'm saying? Is only a bigger corporation going to come up? Diamond Distributors technically isn't that big when you think about it. Oh, they're very important to the comic book world, but outside the comic book world, nobody knows who the hell they are. You know what I'm saying? So if Disney decides to do their own thing in order to continue shipping out comic books, they would probably have a corner on the market unless DC did something also. Even if DC did something also, and you've got that competition right there, hey, here's the problem. We're still dealing with 2 large corporations doing their own thing. If Warner Brothers and Disney are doing that, are there going to be smaller guys coming in? Is this the death of a smaller company? Is that what's going on here? What exactly is happening? Because this is a huge this is one of those kind of things that potentially sends repercussions throughout the industry. How are or the comic book company is just going to say, hey, whatever, Diamond's the only company in town, they're the only big boy in town, what are we going to do? Nothing. We've got to deal with their crap. We've literally just got to deal with what's going on. They made a decision for us about how we're going to get paid, which is fuss, but what are we going to do about it? Okay, that's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big freaking deal. So what do we do from this point on? We got to hope for digital releases. The thing is, they're not going to do any more digital releases. How big is this? Joe Quesada just had, do I still have that thing up? I do not. I closed it out. Okay. A little over an hour ago on the Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel, Joe Quesada came on and they did a little bit with, you could hear my kids outside arguing about Marvel Lego game. Only the first one. I haven't introduced them to the second one yet. They don't know it exists. Anyway, don't spoil it for them. So anyway, when these guys, oh, for crying out loud, I keep on doing this. They're so loud. The digital releases. Okay, so with these digital releases coming out, they have it so that they could do digital only releases. But right now, no digital comics coming out. Oh, the Marvel Entertainment thing. Joe Quesada was just doing his little thing. He was just like, hey, what's going on? I'm going to be, drawing Wolverine, or I think it was Wolverine. I skipped through all that stuff because I really don't care for the most part. He did a picture. And then all of a sudden, CB Cebulski jumped on. Whoa, Joe Quesada and CB Cebulski in an interview, talking with each other. That's kind of a big deal. I mostly skipped through a lot of the stuff, but they didn't talk about it at all. They talked about the Empire State Building doing the heartbeat thing, and that was actually in tune with New York, the song New York from Alicia Keys. Cool song. Loves me some Alicia Keys. Anyway, that's what that was all about. It was a big thing on Twitter last night. Like, what's going on? So anyway, kind of like a War of the Worlds situation. Are the aliens coming? So they didn't talk about it at all. From my understanding, they didn't talk about it at all. They talked about how hard it is for the freelancers. Mind you, they make them freelancers. They don't actually hire them onto the company fully. They just make them freelancers. That's kind of a big deal. I wonder what that's going to do to people. I wonder what that's going to do for the independent market. This literally, there's so much to speculate on. The deeper you think about this, a whole bunch of people that just, it's crazy, dude. It wasn't too long ago. There was the big thing where DC Comics apparently told, this is through G. Willow Wilson, where she says she just got an email that said pens down. Okay, writers aren't going to stop writing. That's simply not the way that writers work, but stop writing for us. Okay, meaning you're not going to pay us for any more stuff that we do. Holy crap. Second Street Marvel, dude. You're wild, man. That is awesome. No more comics. Just imagine that. Wait, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can pull this off. Can I pull this any closer? I cannot pull that any closer. I'm just gonna pull over here. I'm just gonna do one of these things. No more comics. That's messed up. Nice one, dude. Nice one. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah. Yeah, they didn't talk about it. And this was just a little bit over an hour ago. They didn't talk about it. They didn't talk about the no more digital. So this is like a snap decision release. What the hell? And that was live, mind you. That was live because I'm looking in the stream, I'm seeing some comments, and then those comments show up in the chat. They're like putting the comments in the middle of the chat and whatnot. So that was a live stream just a little over an hour ago. And they didn't mention this at all. And suddenly, comics are done. We're not going to be doing digital releases or anything. And DC follows suit real quick. Hey, you can tell who the leader in the industry is now, right? It's Marvel. Just pointing out. Just pointing out. This is a big deal. So look, I already did this freaking video. I deleted the video. Like it's actually in my my escape pile because I was going to point out all the new comics and statues and everything still coming out this week. There's no point because there's nothing coming out. Snap decision last minute, no comics coming out. There are still going to be a bunch of trade paperbacks put out digitally. If you're interested, by all means, go and check those out. Yeah, because it is what it is. I see that. Second, I'm going to be doing the I'm going to be reading digital. It was hard for me to read it, but you know what? Even at my age, sometimes you got to get used to doing new things. So I will be reading some digital comics, it seems, because that's just me. Granted, I also do still have a whole bunch of trade paperbacks here, a bunch of comic books that I haven't done yet. Got a bunch of Marvel graphic novels that I would really love to get into, including God Loves, Man Kills. If you guys can't find that or you don't want to pay those prices on eBay or wherever it is that you would possibly find those, they are releasing part 1 of God Loves, Man Kills. I think that's Marvel graphic novel issue number 7, I think. Don't quote me on that. Unless I'm right. In that case, quote me all day. But anyway, they're going to be releasing that on Comixology tonight. They usually get released at like 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, and it's like standard cover price. The second one they're going to be releasing May 13th. So, or May 16th, I think it is. So a whole month and a half later, which is really weird. Anyway, all of this, this is freaking wild, man. This is freaking wild. What an April Fool's Day this is going to be, right? What an April Fool's Day. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day. And all of a sudden we're finding out no comics for possibly the first time ever. Dude, this is not right. This is just not right. Here's the thing though. Here's the thing. We still have to do what we can to help our local comic book stores and possibly, hopefully, if comic book stores can get through this. And mind you, I've talked to Carlos about this at Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles right here in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Carlos pointed out that 3 weeks of no comic book sales is going to be, of businesses being closed. He just said if businesses being closed is going to be hard. And there are a lot of comic book stores that aren't going to make it through a week, at least off 3 weeks. Here in Ontario, we just got notification yesterday from Rob Ford. That's the premier of Ontario. He's basically like the governor of an entire province. And he said we're going to increase that for past 2 weeks longer. So yeah, no kids in school. Like I'm homeschooling my kids, which is cool since my wife and I are both teachers. My wife's a former teacher. I'm currently still a teacher. Used to be a professor. So yeah, we're teaching from home. It's all good. It's all good. We're good. I wonder if I should maybe try and help you guys out if anybody's got kids at home that aren't learning and you guys still need to educate your kids. You know what? Honestly, if that's something that you guys would like, not in the comments, not in the chat here, but in the comments section, if you do something like that, I will actually put together small curriculums for you guys to be able to help your kids out. Worst case scenario, trying to figure out how to use those books that you can get from Walmart, because Walmarts are still opened. They are essential goods and services. You can go to Walmart and get those curriculum books in the books section, and help out, teaching your kids. They're all grade appropriate, as you'll see, first grade, second grade, whatever. But if you do actually want curriculums for teaching your kids English, math, even the sciences, I'm pretty sure with the sciences, I just love science too much. So I'm pretty sure I can put those together and help you guys out if you want. Seriously, even if one person asks for it, I will start putting together something like that. But put in the comments section below and I'll try and do what I can. This is Comic Book University. We do teach more than just comic books here. Anyway, I'll try and put some stuff together. I can even make it comic book friendly. Why not? But yeah, I think that we all need to do our parts to help out. And here's the thing, I was just talking about the local comic book stores. The best thing that you can always do to help out your comic book store is the same thing that comic book store owners have been saying forever. Get your pull lists. All right. You can't get them now. It is what it is. It is what it is. But seriously, get your pull list. Once we're allowed to go back out again, if you're a comic book store, please try and find out their email address or, their website, their Facebook page, whatever. Try and find those things out. If you're able to get and I understand some people are out of work. I get it. I get it. But if you're able to, definitely support your local comic book store by getting your full pull list. This doesn't mean buying things that you don't really want or need or whatever. It means if you've got comic books put aside, and you got to understand how important this is, all right? If you've got what do you call it? Hey, here's what do you call it? I've got like, 3 comic books per week that go in my pull list. Even if it's 3 comic books per month that go on the pull list. These are comic books that your comic book store owner put aside and said, hey man, check this out. I'm going to buy these. So instead of putting them on the shelves, they put them away in secret in your file that only you and they can see, right? And then you decide not to get those. Now those comic books, what are they going to do? Go back on the shelves? No, because it's more than a week later. They're not new comic books anymore. They're going to go in the dollar bin, which means that they're not making what they were potentially going to make before off of these comic books. They're quite literally selling them at a discounted price. Because unless you had like the first cameo appearance of Punchline or something like that, saying in your bin, nah man, this comic book is simply not going to sell like it was going to at the time. So if you can, please get your pull list. That is the best thing that you can do for your comic book store. After that, just go back and be like, hey, what's up? Because that is crucial. It's not important. It's crucial. It is the lifeblood of these comic book stores. If they're going to deliver to you, definitely take advantage of that delivery. If you can go and pick them up from your LCS, definitely go and do that. Keep these big comic book stores, keep these little comic book stores, keep all of them put together. Remember, if it is a big comic book store, like Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles is a huge comic book store. You don't usually find comic book stores that big unless you're going to like freaking Midway or whatever they are down in Midtown, you know what I'm saying? Or some of those super huge big named ones. The biggest comic book store in Canada is Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles here in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And what that means by being bigger is that they've got more of an overhead, more stuff just sitting on the shelves that they were expecting people are going to come in and, impulse buy or whatever. And now suddenly that's just stuff sitting there, inventory, collecting dust at this point. And that's not cool. Gotham Central could go under just because they're bigger doesn't mean they can't go under just as fast or faster. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of inventory just sitting there and not doing anything. Stores closed in New York City. Dude, there's stores going everywhere. Free Comic Book Day was actually supposed to be Free Comic Book Week. Actually, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Chantel, Miss Mello. Anyway, I'm probably butchering the whole name. That's what I do here on this channel. I butcher people's names. So welcome. Anyway, Free Comic Book Day was actually supposed to be Free Comic Book Month. All of May was supposed to be Free Comic Book Month. Probably not going to happen now. But you know what? Here's the thing. We're nerds. We adapt. And honestly, let's just be realistic. Let's look at who we are. Okay. I was actually one of the cool kids in school. I wasn't the coolest kid. I was on the track and field team as opposed to the football team, but I was still on a team. You know what I'm saying? I was a pretty popular guy. All right. I dated, you know what I'm saying? I hung out with my friends and stuff like that. But on the side, this is back in the early 90s, I also, snuck out and hung out with, some D&D friends in basements, and I played Dungeons and Dragons. I read comic books, you know what I'm saying? What do you call it? I'd be in detention or study hall, and, my bud would like put his backpack on the desk and be like, what? What do you got? And just all of a sudden shake it a little bit. A couple X-Men comic books fall out. It's like, whoa, keep those in, man. What do you got? Looking at them in there. It's like, cool. You look around, make sure nobody sees that you're reading comic books because they weren't popular back then. All of a sudden, what happened? We adapted so much that nerds now rule the world. Oh, those big time jocks, you know what I'm saying? He used to act like they were so tough back in the day, beating up on nerds, ain't so tough anymore. Now they're coming up to the nerds. They're coming up to everybody talking about, hey, man. So, like, all of a sudden, there's this Thanos guy. Wow. Was he in the comic books? Was he in the comic books? Let me tell you about the Infinity Gauntlet. All right, 6 issues. And let me tell you how they were gems long before they were stones. Dude, nerds rule the world right now. We adapt, we overcome. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, like I'm about to end this up. If you guys are really bothered, like it hurts being indoors and whatnot, because like I isolate all the time. This is my world right here. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go unless I'm going to go out in isolation, you know what I'm saying? Possibly with the family and do some camping. You know what I'm saying? Brush up on those survival skills. You know what I'm saying? Do some minimal equipment, survivalist stuff outdoors. You know what I'm saying? Teach the family how to actually make a fire without using lighter fluid. God, most people can't do it with a lighter fluid anyway. So, I always like to be in isolation. I love the idea of smaller, big areas, less amount of people. But that being said, I understand we are sociable creatures. That's just what we are. You know what I'm saying? So if you are feeling pent up and you've got the whole thing like, I'm trapped indoors, I'm stuck indoors, listen, psychologically, this is what we can do. And this is real talk, all right? You can you can flip that whole script by simply changing one word in that sentence. Instead of saying, I'm stuck indoors, I'm trapped indoors, whatever, I'm safe indoors. Simply keep that. Doesn't even have to be a mantra. Just simply put that as your top priority. I am safe indoors. My family is safe indoors. That's it. That's all you have to do. And it's going to get a whole lot better. Hope you guys are good with everything. Listen, I'm actually realizing just how bad this situation is right now. I'm actually something of a prepper myself. I'm going to try and help everybody out as best I can. I'm going to try and put up slightly different content on my channel. I don't care if it sells or not. It's not that big of a deal. What do you call it? I'm going to actually try and help out you guys with, putting up some stuff to try and help out with this current pandemic and how incredibly crazy things can be. So yeah. All that being said, I'm going to bounce out of here. Remember to take care of your local comic book stores when you can, if you can. All right. And consider, I know a lot of people are hurting though at the same time. A lot of people without work, a lot of people that money's not coming in fast enough, saying from the government that freaking, unemployment is not coming in fast enough. Some people can't claim unemployment. There are a lot of people out there who are gig workers. This is, like I said, a gig economy. If you are a gig worker, you were doing freelance for somebody or, private work for somebody. And like, I'm a gig worker. I'm a gig worker. I work from home teaching kids in China English. You know what I'm saying? And if they decide to cut my, my thing, I can't claim unemployment insurance anywhere. There's no way to do that for me. I'm literally without work if that happens. That's messed up. That's messed up. If my wife gets fired from her job, then she, laid off, whatever, then she's able to claim unemployment. You know what I'm saying? Me, I can't. So I understand there's a lot of people out there, you can't. It sucks. It hurts. It genuinely hurts. Yeah, there we go. 3+ million. Yeah, self-employed. That's good. Unless your people like comic book companies are also self-employed. So I hear you, Second Street. People are hurting. People are hurting. Working right now, nothing's changed for me. That is awesome. Comics Mix Explained. Good seeing you in here. It sucks, man. It sucks. And there you go. That is the best way to look at Sergio. You are freaking awesome. That's actually a joke that I'd made not too long ago. Don't look at it as, I'm trapped indoors. Like look at your family and be like, you think that I'm trapped indoors with you. No, you're trapped in here with me. Like you got to look at it that way because we're comic book nerds and we are adaptable. Flip the script, baby. All right, listen. Take care of your LCSs. All right. Here's the time to reread some of your comic books. Go into that deeper understanding of what those comic books are. What they meant to you. Look into them. Freaking live them, learn them, love them. That's one of the things I always say to my students back when I was teaching in person. What I'm saying? Here, you're going to learn about mathematical equations now. Live it, learn it, love it. That's something I used to always say all the time. So bang, live your comics, learn your comics, love your comic books. You know what I'm saying? Stop with this whole one-time read stuff. You got any trade paperbacks? Now it's time to go back and start looking at all those old trades, man, and just freaking love them, man. I'm going to start putting out a whole bunch of good stuff in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put out a whole bunch of good stuff in here to try and keep you guys up to date and hooked up. And yeah, after that, I'm out. Can't stay here forever. Got a family to take care of. Love you guys. Stay safe. All right? Take it easy. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.